Look at the honorable mentions of inside linebackers. There's a lot of them that have just balled out this year that they have to be on this list, have to be recognized at least. One of them is going to be Frankie Luvu. Last year wasn't even ranked. This year, I mean, he balled out for Carolina, and he balled out so hard that he's not even there anymore. He did end up leaving and signing a contract elsewhere. I definitely believe his style of play is relentless. I think he's just one of those guys that just always brings it on the field, plays with his heart. So it's something that I love to see with players. And Frankie Luvu is one of those guys that Carolina will miss dearly. You're looking at what he's done. 27 years old, 6 years in the league, 3 years, $31 million he signed with the Commanders. So that's a great pickup for him. 17 games played, 125 tackles, 5.5 sacks, two forced fumbles, five pass deflections, and 10.5 stuffs. No accolades for him, no playoffs because it's Carolina, but overall he's been one of those guys that's been a pretty fundamental player and a pretty vital player to the organization. So having him gone will be a huge loss, but it'll be a huge pickup for Washington. I think he's going to learn a lot under Bobby Wagner, and I think they're going to be great together. Next up, we got Tremaine Edmunds. Last year, he was actually ranked a number 8 inside linebacker. I think this year has definitely been different just because players have, just different players have come out and they've balled out, or, you know, um, they had some low numbers and came back to where they were. But Tremaine Edmunds is a guy that you need to keep on the lookout with honorable mentions. I mean, he's definitely a guy that you want to see on your football team. Definitely, the ability of what he's able to do. He's high IQ, play recognition's on point. Definitely is going to be in there for the tackle, and definitely a reliable leader. I think he's just been better every single year he's been in the league. And you look at Tremaine Edmunds, 26 years old, 6 years in the league, 3 years, $50 million with the Bears. 15 games that he played, 113 tackles, one forced fumble, one fumble recovery, four interceptions, one for touchdown, seven pass deflections, and 6.5 stuffs. These numbers are pretty great. Maybe the tackles could be higher for him to even get a Pro Bowl, but I do believe these numbers for him definitely I thought could have been Pro Bowl worthy. So I mean, he is a guy that can be a top 10 inside linebacker, and I think will be. I don't see him in honorable mention forever, but this is a really hard list, and there's a lot of great inside linebackers in the league. So, seeing Jermaine Edmonds there, I mean, he deserves the credit of where he's at, and he's definitely made the Bears defense a lot better. Got another young linebacker. This time, Jordyn Brooks, the ex Seahawk, yes, ex Seahawk, is now, has been one of the top tacklers in this league. You know, having some crazy numbers since he's been drafted. Seattle knew what they got with him. It was a playmaker, and he is that. He is a playmaker. Definitely, Seattle is going to lose something not having Jordyn Brooks, also not having Bobby. So, it's gonna be weird for them to not have these kind of guys. But Jordyn Brooks, he is 26 years old, 4 years in the league. He went to the Miami Dolphins for 3 years, $26.25 million. I think it's a good deal for them. They wanted linebackers. They needed linebackers. It's going to help them tremendously, definitely having him there. 16 games that he played, 111 tackles, 4.5 sacks, one forced fumble, one fumble recovery, one interception for a touchdown, four pass deflections, and 10 stuffs. It's another guy that had pretty good numbers to be a Pro Bowl. You know, there's just a lot of great inside linebackers out there. Um, but Jordyn Brooks is a leader. He is going to be great where he goes, and it's Miami, and they're going to need him. They're going to need him, especially if they want to make a deeper run. I think Jordyn Brooks will help with that. Next, how about Azeez Al-Shaair? The guy that was not ranked at all this past year is now an honorable mention. Definitely on the spotlight. Definitely eyes are going to be on him. Definitely with what he's doing. Coming from the Niners where they have linebacker city. Um, I don't think he had the ability to grow and develop. I mean, he learned a lot, obviously, from Fred Warner um, and Dre Greenlaw out there. But it was time for him to kind of make a name for himself. He did that exactly what he did in Tennessee, and he was one of the most reliable linebackers that they have. Definitely a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowl, can make himself an All Pro candidate. Just like seeing what he was able to do this past year and prove that he is an everyday, every down type linebacker. So you're looking at him, 26 years old, 5 years in the league. He's got 3 years, $34 million. 17 games that he played, 163 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 4 pass deflections, and 12 stuffs. He was all over the football field. He was hungry to make a name for himself, and he's there. He's got eyes on him now, and I hope that he can make a huge jump and maybe a top 10 list. All right, next is Alex Singleton, honorable mention. Last year was not ranked, not rated at all. This guy has a great sense of where the play is going to head to. I definitely believe he is full speed ahead. He's a guy that's a leader, and he's a guy that's overlooked. I think he's underrated for what he does. Alex Singleton has been amazing for the Denver Bronco defense. It gives them something to build on, especially with the Broncos trying to get to where they need to be, and they want to be a playoff team again, obviously. So, Alex Singleton's a really good linebacker for him. You're looking at what he's done: 30 years, 5 years in the league, 30 years old, 2 years, $12 million on the deal. 17 games played, 177 total tackles is crazy. 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 pass deflections, and 10.5 stuffs. This is another guy, definitely should be a Pro Bowler. Has the tangibles to be doing that. And I do believe that he will be extremely effective with this team. I do believe that they can, if they, want to rebuild the team. I think they'll definitely be surrounded against him. Um, so yeah, he's phenomenal to watch. Very entertaining player. All right. Next up is Robert Spillane. Last year was not even rated at all. Another guy who is super beneficial and impactful for his team. The Raiders, when they got this guy, I do believe that they saw some upside. I don't know if they saw what he was going to become, but he's a monster. He's a dog, man. He brings it every Sunday. Definitely a guy that Las Vegas obviously needs. Especially if they're trying to build on a defense, which they made some moves this past offseason, so it's nice to see that. Robert Spillane's going to be a cornerstone for him. He's still young. He's still got a lot of ability and a lot of playing time for him. And I think he's going to be exactly what they need. And that's a tackling kind of machine guy, a guy that's able to read defenses, a leader. They need all that. I definitely believe just a fearless competitor, fantastic player. Nice to see him being on this list. You're looking at Robert Spillane, 28 years old, 5 years in the league, 1 year, $4.5 million left in the deal. If I were the Raiders, I'd sign him back up. 17 games played, 148 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, 4 pass deflections, and 10.5 stuffs. He did it all. He did everything at a high level. Another guy that had Pro Bowl type numbers. But yeah, I believe he's got a lot of potential, and I think he could definitely have a great season this year. You got Zaire Franklin. Last year honorable mention, this year honorable mention. I don't know if he'll ever get to a top 10, but he's got eyes all over, man. He's got eyes all over the league. He's got eyes for me, man. I mean, he is another tackling machine. Guy that is going to go out there and play his best ball. Definitely will, you know, he'll tackle that open field runner. Quick, definitely quick to read defenses or quick to read offenses and quick to be a leader. Definitely an underrated leader, underrated player. Another Colt that no one really knows about yet still produces at such a high level, man. Zaire Franklin's 28 years old, 6 years in the league, 3 years, $31.26 million, 16 games played, 179 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 6 pass deflections, and 11 stuffs. Um, yeah, 179 tackles in his year, like combined, is crazy. It's fantastic. Someone that you don't see much of. But I mean, the past couple of years, you've seen guys get those types of numbers linebacker wise. Um, yeah, I mean, this is another Pro Bowl type player. So again, it's a hard list. A lot of these guys just balled out this year, and I think he's a pretty vital piece to the Colts defense. Absolutely. So definitely, enjoy watching him, and if you can watch this guy, definitely underrated. Take a look at young linebackers. They got so much potential. Definitely drafted a stud. It's the Jaguars. They drafted Devin Lloyd, and I don't think they regret that decision one bit. Yeah, I mean, prototypical linebacker, man. The speed, the play recognition, the ability of making plays at the right time. And he's got a long, long time for him to develop into what I think is a top 10 linebacker in this league, definitely. Definitely Jacksonville's got something somewhere with the defense. I think they're trying to cook on getting better, especially after they gave up the AFC South title last year. You're looking at Devin Lloyd, 25 years old, 2 years in the league. He's got 2 years, $4.34 million left on his rookie deal. 15 games that he played, 127 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 pass deflections, and 9.5 stuffs. Um, Definitely a guy that you want on the football field. Definitely a good developmental player. I definitely can see him being a Pro Bowler, an All Pro, if he continues to get better at his craft. But yeah, he's going to be a good, fun, great guy to watch on Sundays this coming year. Got a great linebacker. You got to look at Germaine Pratt. Germaine Pratt for the Bengals has been phenomenal. He definitely was a leader, especially with that team that went to a Super Bowl, and he's been there ever since. I don't believe Cincinnati will get rid of him. He's their best linebacker. Logan Wilson's definitely proven to be pretty impactful as well on the outside, but Germaine Pratt is a leader, and he's that guy. You need that guy there. They just need to build off on the linebackers that they got, as well as Trey Hendrickson, and then kind of get better on the defensive backs and more the D line. And I think they got something there in Cincinnati. Definitely, you're looking at Germaine Pratt, 28 years old, 5 years in the league, 2 years, 10.4 million dollars on the deal. 17 games played, 118 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 3 pass deflections, and 8.5 stuffs. He was definitely all over the football field. He definitely did a little bit of everything. Definitely a guy that you want to pay attention to as a Bengal fan. I'm sure you're happy to have a guy like this guy lead the charge for sure. Another stud young linebacker that can make a name and definitely will be a top 10 guy, all pro, Pro Bowler for sure. It's Quay Walker, man. Green Bay's done a great job of finding talent and kind of molding it together to being what I think is them being Super Bowl contenders. Definitely, they have the roster to go very far in the playoffs this coming year. Definitely going to be entertaining to watch them. Quay Walker is just one of those guys you need to see, and you need to know where he's at on the field because he can make plays. He can make great plays, not just tackling wise. Interceptions and sacks, whatnot, pass deflections. He's athletic, big-bodied, athletic linebacker that you want to see. Um, that you want to see on Green Bay on your team, not on Sundays when you got to play the guy. You're looking at Quay Walker, um, 24 years old, 2 years in the league. He's got 2 years, $4.55 million left on his rookie deal. 14 games that he played, 118 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 interception, one for touchdown, 3 pass deflections, and 5.5 stuffs. He's got to be playing a full year. I think with that full year, I do believe he's got numbers that can back him up to being a top 10 linebacker. But yeah, he's got some crazy, crazy, great highlights, and he's an entertaining player to watch. Definitely will be excited to see what he does in the. To mention that Quay Walker also was in the playoffs against Dallas and San Fran. He had 20 tackles and his stuff. Again, he had a great year. Definitely a great linebacker this year. Positions getting younger and them getting more elite. I think we've hit a pretty good standard with linebackers. I think inside linebackers we're heading into a possible golden age of them once again. We've had them back in the early 2010s, mid 2010s, and I feel like we're just getting back to just seeing so many guys that are so talented on so many different teams. Ernest Jones is another guy that's super talented. Been there since they were in the Super Bowl when they won it against the Bengals. Definitely a guy that plays with his heart. Definitely plays with his heart. Definitely a great leader, and has been getting better every single year. It seems like so. Overall, Ernest Jones deserves credit, and I do believe that he will be a top 10 linebacker as well as other five other guys that I continuously say. It's just really hard to, you know, it's hard, but it's also fun to see that there are so many great linebackers in this league that can become legends. You look at Ernest Jones, 24 years old, 3 years in the league. He's got 1 year, $3.11 million on his rookie deal. 15 games that he played, 145 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 6 pass deflections, and 16 stuffs. And our first linebacker that we can talk about the playoffs here. Um, so for Ernest Jones against Detroit, 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Um, yeah, he had a pretty great game. No accolades for him, whatnot, but still pretty effective. Um, yeah, just a great linebacker, uh, great player, and he's got a lot of more talent to go and more great seasons to go. But Alex Anzalone last year was an honorable mention as well. Underlooked or overlooked. Definitely a guy that people don't pay enough attention to. This is a huge leader to the Detroit defense, who's already stacked. I mean, they got better this offseason, draft picks, trying to get some guys into their offensive line and, trying to develop their team. This is a team that's ready for the Super Bowl, right? This is a team that definitely can win a Super Bowl. And they're going to threaten, obviously the division again. Even with this stacked division that they do have, it's definitely going to be hell every single time all these teams play. It's going to be an all right dogfight battle. They all got great tendencies. They all got something special in these teams. But Detroit got something in Alex Anzalone. 29 years old, 7 years in the league, 2 years, $12.35 million. He had 16 games played, 129 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 6 pass deflections, and 10 stuffs against LA, Tampa Bay, and San Fran. He had 23 tackles and 3 stuffs. Great year for him. I want to see him in a Pro Bowl. That'd be nice. While I think he's useful and reliable and overlooked, I don't see him being more than just an honorable mention. But he's still relevant. Still got to give him his props, and you got to watch him on Sundays. He really does, do everything, with a lot of heart, a lot of pride, and Detroit's lucky to have him. Got another linebacker that was not even ranked last year, and they're young and they're proven. Definitely proven something this year. I think when Buffalo lost Tremaine Edmunds, a lot of faith, a lot of hope for me was that they were just going to downgrade. Who's going to be replacing him? I mean, Terrel Bernard's name was thrown there. I didn't really know much about him. I just assumed he's gonna be all right, But I mean, Edmonds is Tremaine Edmonds, man. You don't just replace a Tremaine Edmonds. Terrell Bernard came in, and I mean, definitely, absolutely uh, switched my opinion on what type of player he is. Also on Buffalo state of, panic. There was no panicking really. Terrell Bernard was just a great fill, and a great plug-in for losing a Tremaine Edmonds. He did his thing this year. 25 years old, 2 years in the league, 2 years, $3.02 million on his rookie deal. 17 games played, 143 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 3 fumble recovers, 3 interceptions, 5 pass deflections, and 11 stuffs. He's straight out balled. He was an animal this year. Definitely huge part of their defense. Definitely going to need him this season, and I hope that he can continue to progress in his career and his craft. And I do believe he can be a top 10 linebacker in the league. Close this out. It's honorable mention Patrick Queen last year, number 10. the trader himself, man. Definitely super angry at Baltimore. Probably not paid him enough. So he just had to end up roasting it. Roasting Baltimore, pretty much talking a lot of smack about Baltimore. We'll see how that goes when they're actually in Baltimore, or how he's going to even be in Baltimore. Regardless, he's a great linebacker, great coverage linebacker. Um, other than that, he is a great coverage linebacker. He does make great critical tackles. Fast linebacker. Definitely a guy that you want to see on the football field for sure. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you like this move. He's a great coverage linebacker. Um, and he'll do that. He will be really great. Trying to with the spies and all that, and setting up nice tackles. When the like field open runner tackles. It's not bad. He's not a bad player whatsoever. But yeah, Pat Queen. Um, he's 24 years old, 4 years in the league. Signed a 3-year, $41 million deal to go to Pittsburgh. 17 games played, 133 tackles, 3.5 sacks, one forced fumble, one fumble recovery, one interception, six pass deflections, and 10 stuffs. Against Houston and Kansas City, he had 13 tackles. So, again, good playmaker. We'll see how he really does in Baltimore. We'll see how he does in Pittsburgh. Um, Definitely a Pro Bowler, second team All Pro. So he earned his spotlight. But like I said, um, yeah, we'll see what he does this year.